In the last segment, we talked about once we form our ionic compounds, we need to name them. But you have to recognize that not everything forms an ion. So you have to recognize whether something is ionic first. Okay? So on your list, AuCl3, this one is likely to be ionic because gold is a metal, chlorine is a nonmetal. Metal and nonmetal, generally, but not always. Pb is a metal, OH is nonmetal, ionic, CaF2 also ionic. Okay, so note if we have NH4OH, N, O, H, no metals. However, NH4 is on our list, okay? It's on our list. It's an ion, and therefore anything that has ammonium in it is our general exception, and that one's going to be ionic as well. All right, so how do we name these? Name the cation first. If more than one possible cation exists, designate it with a Roman numeral. Okay, so now iron plus 2, we're going to name iron 2. Iron with a 3, we're going to name iron 3. Sodium only forms a plus 1, so we just call that sodium. Okay, so this is why you were told to commit these to memory, because if there's more than one, you have to give it a Roman numeral. Okay, so if you go back to our list, iron 2, iron 3, copper 1, copper 2, lead 2, lead 4, tin 2, tin 4, silver, zinc, aluminum, gold 1, gold 3, chromium 2, chromium 3, chromium 6, and there are more. Okay? All right. Name the anion next. If it is monoatomic, name it according to the stem plus IDE. Okay? Chloride, oxide, nitride. Monoatomic, only one. If it's polyatomic, then you just name it according to the name. So if you see this, it's sulfate, nitrate, phosphate, and so on down the list. This is why you have to commit these to memory. Okay, so let's give this a try, and let's start on page 6. So here's our ionic compound. Sodium is a metal. We name the cation first. Sodium, nitride. Ionic, potassium bromide. Okay, you come back and name these. Strontium oxide. Barium fluoride. Aluminum oxide. Okay? Sodium chloride, potassium bromide, magnesium carbonate, gold 3 chloride, lead 2 hydroxide, calcium fluoride, ammonium hydroxide. Okay? What about these? That's a new category. Okay? Try these. Make sure you can get the same names that I got. Okay? So I'm going to keep going. All right, we'll practice a few together, and then this is all about practicing because there's nothing else I can tell you about ionic compounds. Aluminum plus 3, sulfur minus 2. Remember, when we get 2 and 3, we need to make 6. So the way I'm going to get 6 is 2 aluminums, 3 sulfurs, Al2S3, and this is aluminum sulfide, monoatomic. Now let's say I want to make aluminum sulfate. Aluminum is a plus 3. Sulfate is SO4 2 minus. 3 and 2 make 6. So I need 2 of these, 3 of these, and I make Al subscript 2, SO4, and I have 3 of them. Notice this formula is totally different from that formula. This one has 12 oxygens, this one has none. So what you want to do is you want to practice putting them together, getting the name, taking the name, getting the ions, and getting your formula. And you're going to want to practice this over and over and over again. Okay? If you do not practice it, you will never get any good at it. We need 2 iodines, MgI2, and this is called magnesium iodide. Okay, let me drop down to this one. Iron is on the list, so I don't know whether it's a 2 or a 3, but I do know nitrogen is in group 5, and we'll want to gain 1, 2, 3. Therefore, this has to be a plus 3, and therefore my name is iron 3 nitride. Okay. All right. K plus, Br minus, potassium bromide, etc. Okay, so practice, practice from your book. Okay, these are chapter 3. Here's your ionic nomenclature. Practice, I think I have a blackboard sheet where there's about 80 for you to practice. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with practicing. We'll come back to the other ones that we have in the lecture notes, and then I'm going to have you practice some more, because what's going to come next is what happens when we cannot get ions. And by the way, this is still Unit 3. Okay, what happens when we cannot get ions? Because just to make this straightforward for you, if these are all the compounds that we can make, the ionic ones are a small piece of the pie. The simple binary molecular, which we're going to do next, is a very small piece of the pie. Acids, even smaller. So we're going to name these as part of the unit. Then we're going to come back to this enormous pile of compounds that don't fit into ionic, simple binary molecular, and acid.